person. Hey, Sank of a Marxist, can you drop that Juche article about how race mixing and multicultural is bad and a threat to the Korean nation for me right quick? So, American propaganda from Adrian's ends. Alright. And then they say it isn't American propaganda. It's a real Juche article that KCNA put out. Here we go. Well, here we go then, right? This is it, chat. This must be it. This must be the proof of DPRKs. And I'm going to see if chat can figure out what's wrong with this, okay? Yeah, it does. It does, Robbo. And that's why I want people to, I want to see if any of my chat and if you were already here before the raid, don't give it away. Okay? I just chat as soon as you discover what is wrong with this. This is the proof from KCNA that DPRK is an ethnocentric against multinational, against multiracial, against it's an ethno-nationalist society, and here's the proof. Apparently, if you find the contradiction, speak up in chat when you hear it. Pyongyang, April 27th, KCNA. A strange farce to hamstrung the essential characters of the Korean nation and seek for multiracial society is now being held in South Korea. Who is KCNA? It's the Korean news agency. It doesn't matter. That part's less important. Just listen to and see if you can tell me if this is for ethno-nationalism or not. What is this talking about, right? See if you can get it. A strange farce to hamstrung the essential characters of the Korean nation and seek for multiracial society is now being held in South Korea. I mean, I knew you know. In this regard, Rodong Simnam today runs a signed commentary, which censures the farce as an unpardonable bid to negate the homogeneity of the nation and make South Korea multiracial and Americanize it. To deny the peculiarity and the advantages of homogenous nation now that dominationism and colonialism are posing a threat to the destiny of weak nations is a treacherous act of weakening the spirit of the nation. I'm going to read that part again. Okay? In this regard, Rodong Simam runs today's signed commentary. This is a DPRK article, which censures the farce as an unpardonable bid to negate the homogeneity of the nation, make South Korea multiracial, and Americanize it. To deny the peculiarity and advantages of the homogenous nation, that is, the Korean nation, now that dominationism and colonialism are posing a threat to the destiny of weak nations, is a treacherous act of weakening the spirit of the nation, the commentary says. And goes on. The South Korean pro-American traders forces advocating the theory of multiracial society are riffraffs who have not an iota of national soul, to say nothing of the elementary understanding of the view on the nation and social and historic development. If the homogeneity of the nation is not kept, the nation and the destiny of individuals cannot be defended from the US dominationist moves, and the attempt of the Japanese reactionaries for invasion of Korea, which is revealed in their claim to Tak Islet, cannot be checked. The theory of a multiracial society is a poison and an anti-reunification logic, aimed to emasculate the basic idea in an era of independent reunification. The anti-national logic is advocated in South Korea, contrary to the aspiration of fellow countrymen. This is ascribable to the criminal attempt of the pro-American elements, including the Grand National Party, to make North and South different lineages, block the June 15th era of reunification, and seek the permanent division of the nation and manipulation of the US behind the scene. The commentary calls upon the people from all walks of life in South Korea to decisively reject the anti-national moves of the sycophantic traitorous forces, to tarnish the lineage of the Korean nation and obliterate it. Bear a fit of the Juche character and the national character. And so the original claim, to remind you now, is that can you drop the Juche article about how race mixing and multicultural is bad and a threat to the Korean nation? So implying that this means that Korea, of course, wants an ethno-nationalist society, an ethnocentric society. Do you see what's wrong? Anyone getting what's going on here? Does anyone in chat, besides NTC, know what this is talking about? Yes, America taking over South Korea. And not only taking it over, but actually committing a genocide against the Korean people. Okay? Isn't that saying that Americans are calling North and South Korean different nations? Well, they're already doing that. What they're trying to do is materially make them different nations, right? By making it out to be that, oh, well, North Korea is just stuck in the Korean past, and South Korea, you see, has developed and Americanized, and so has become a modern, a new Korean culture, you see. And on one hand, it's trying to say that, well, you see, DPRK no longer has anything culturally in common with South Korea, which isn't true. They have the same legends. They have the same, like, historical stories. They have the same, like, the traditional folk music is the same, right? K-pop isn't the entirety of ROK culture, right? But K-pop exists to try and erase Korean culture. You see? And you got to understand that genocide is when there is violence and killing and doing all those things.
It's what's happening on this planet, y'all.
Right? Like, yes, those things contribute to genocide, but another aspect of genocide is cultural erasure, reconciliation, assimilation, melting pot shit, right? When white people and colonialists and imperialists are talking about a melting pot, right? What they're saying is they want those colonized people, those people who have been occupied, colonized, violently fucking aggressed on in the past, to now end their culture, get rid of the culture, or at least diminish it and make the dominant culture the white culture, the consumerist culture, the cosmopolitanism of white capitalist imperialism. Right? That is what the whole thing is about. That's what melting pot of America means. That's what the melting pot of Canada means. That's why, again, that's where the ACP gets fucked up. We understand that we have to go through the current conditions that exist, but we have to do so understanding that there is peculiar nations with peculiar interest and peculiar cultural aspects, and that doesn't all need to melt into one American thing to have an America country, right? That is anti-imperialist and anti-colonial. That's not a required thing for us to, right? So and I think, and I would hope, I guess what disappoints me most about this very, very devious, if I may say, interpretation of this article is that literally right now in Israel, that is the narrative that Israel uses against Palestinians. They want to create this state of just Islamic terrorists, quote unquote, and we, Israelis, want to make a melting pot. If they just melt into our pot, it's all good. Meaning, if they just lose all semblance, if they erase all semblance of what it is to be Palestinian, then they will be accepted into Israeli society, is like what that means. And it's the same thing in all of these other places, right? Exactly. Compare this melting pot to what you have in USSR or China, right? There's lots of nations and lots of cultures in China, but they're not all melting into one pot because that's genocidal bullshit. And that's what that multiracialism is. So it's on one aspect, the melting pot, the reconciliation politics, the right? That's what it is on one hand. And on the other hand, it's there to erase the South Korean to erase the Korean identity in South Korea and create a unique South Korean American identity that will make them feel like they're separate people from those in the North, from their own families. From their own families. And this person's mad about them calling that out. Oh, brother. And like, if you don't believe me, I can show you quotes right here, right? Look, I want you to listen to this now. Okay, I want you to listen to this. And you tell me if you're understanding this. America is a melting pot. Is that term actually a negative thing? Yes. Yes, it is. Because what they are saying is that we should integrate into this broken settler colonial society and adopt the white language. We should stop speaking Mi'kmaq, speak English. Right? Stop speaking this language, speak English. You should just stand for the Canadian flag. Why do you want people to learn about Mi'kmaq, about Mi'kmaq? Why do you want people to learn about Mohawk people? Why do you want to learn people to learn about Haudenosaunee? You're all Canadians, you see. That is what the actual source of that is. And of course they do try and progressive people try and spin it other ways, but it can't ever be escaped that is the source of that, right? That is the entire source of the melting pot narrative, is that the dominant genocidal or occupying forces roll that out to say, melt your identity into ours, and then we won't need to violently force it out of you. Right? We won't have to violently force your culture out of you if you just simply voluntarily throw your culture away, is really what it's saying. I want you to listen to this quote here from Kim Il-sung. Okay? Kim Il-sung, quote, "The Japanese imperialist murderers harshly exploited and repressed the Korean people. They considered ours an inferior nation and allowed no Korean to participate in the management of factories, enterprises, and state establishments. The Japanese imperialists took under their wings only a handful of pro-Japanese elements and traitors to the nation who, divorced from the people, had become their faithful stooges. They tried to destroy our national culture with its 5,000-year history and imposed upon our nation the Japanese language, Japanese customs, Japanese culture, and the Japanese religion called Shintoism, for the purpose of paralyzing the national consciousness of the Korean people. With the liberation of our country from Japanese imperialist rule in August 1945, the days of insult and slavery, with bitterness of which penetrated our nation to the bone, came to an end, and the whole road of a new life which opened up before the Korean people." So first of all, when DPRK says that it considers itself to be the best nation and the best people, it has nothing to do with a biological constitution or an ethno-supremacy. They consider themselves to be the best people, the best revolution, the best country, because they have Juche. That and that alone. And if you want to spit on their face for that, be my guest, I guess. But it seems pretty fucking cringe to me, right? I'll read you a few more parts here, because people will say that that's because, of course, Korea is stuck in Japanese feudalism. I'm going to read you some more parts from this. Quote, another one from Kim Il-sung. Quote, "At present, the Korean Revolution is at a stage where it must sweep away the survivals of Japanese imperialism and feudalism and build a new democratic society that is at the stage of anti-imperialist, anti-feudal democratic revolution." That's from 1945. He also stated that the general ideological mobilization campaign for nation building was a great ideological transformation to eliminate all degenerate and decadent customs and attitudes to life, such as thinking that women belonged in the household and should serve the men. If you want me to give you a specific example, a leftover from Japanese imperialism. Fully develop the spirit and features, morality, and fighting efficiency required of the workers of a new and democratic Korea, and create wholesome and vibrant national stamina. He instructed that this campaign be conducted by the methods of ideological struggle and ideological education in close combination with the people's practical struggle to build a new country. I got more for you. How about let's bring Kim Jong-il into this. From 2002, Kim Jong-il. Quote, "We should distinguish clearly between true nationalism that loves the nation and defends its interests, and bourgeois nationalism that advocates the interests of the bourgeois class. Bourgeois nationalism reveals itself as national egoism, national exclusivism, and big power chauvinism in the relationship between countries and nations. It is reactionary in that it creates antagonisms and disagreements between countries and nations, and checks the development of friendly relations between the various peoples of the world." Kim Jong-il. Oh, let me see. Big Yahoo, you caught a lobster. I've got another one here for you also. Another Kim Jong-il quote. Really driving it home, okay? This is from 1989. Kim Jong-il. "The excellence of our nation that we emphasize has nothing in common with racism or national chauvinism. We do not assert that Koreans' biological constitution is more developed than those of other races. Defining the superiority of a nation according to biologic or ethnic characteristics is the practice of reactionary bourgeois ethnology." Kim Jong-il, "Let us highly display the Korean nation first spirit," 28th of December 1989. And further, quote, "Reactionary racism and national chauvinism, which were used by the imperialists as an ideological instrument of aggression and domination, have been rejected by the progressive humanity. Our nation first idea, which is thoroughly opposed to reactionary racism, national chauvinism, and cosmopolitanism, not only values the good traits of different nations, but also respects the independence of other nations." Kim Jong-il, again, from Let Us Highly Display the Korea First Spirit, 1989. So are we starting to see the problem here? The idea that DPRK is somehow ethnonationalist clearly does not hold up to scrutiny. So I just want you to keep that in mind if you ever see this article again, comrades, because it might come up again. And here, actually, if you bookmark this is a good article here from my comrade Dermot Hudson. And this is what I was quoting those DPRK quotes from. So yeah, I highly recommend checking out Dermot's article. If you ever see someone say DPRK is an ethno-nationalist, this gives you the quotes from them. This gives you the quotes from the leaders themselves. And also, I hope that I put into context what this means. Does that all make sense to you, comrades? Do you understand why this has nothing to do with ethno-nationalism and ethnocentrism, which, I remind you, is a fucking white invention, a white genocidal invention to uphold capitalism and imperialism, and why instead this is against the colonial strategy of melting pot? Yeah, if ethno-nationalists, why does the DPRK have American defectors living there? Exactly. Exactly. And that's the other thing. Actually, that's a good point, Malcolm, because that's the other thing that I would show them right there, right? Is that how can you say that? How can you possibly say that? We can literally disprove that. Right? Where's my watch later list? I've got so many goddamn playlists here now. I'm gonna find it though, while playing. That's what it's called. Here it is. Okay, yeah. So check this out. Manticore, welcome in. Check this out. Just to give you like some. Oh yeah, I'll show you that in a second too, Zach. Okay, to give you some more ammo to disprove DPRK being some kind of ethno-nationalist society, I'm just going to show you a clip. Okay, just a short clip to help disprove again about this. And I'll even copy the URL at the current time. This is the current timestamp and everything. So check this out. Yeah, 200 biddies. That's correct. Okay, so remember, these comrades on Twitter were just charging DPRK as being a ethnocentric society or whatever. Yeah, please ignore the fucking BBC, the BBC socialist fucking dystopia filter that they're using right here. But I just want you to see this family. This is a family living in DPRK, full citizenship. Okay? So full citizenship, full fucking his sons serve in the army. So despite what Leftcom Twitter says about DPRK being an ethnocentric society because of what that article says, which we've now thoroughly explained, look at this family in DPRK. Full rights, full citizenship. They go to the same school as Korean people do.
Happy birthday, Ching Ching. Okay. Good boy you are.
Yeah, no one's melting into any pot.
Drink up, boys.
She can be proud of her heritage.
Like a simple birthday.
He can even talk about being an American and his experience of being an American.
Trying to make
and relate that to his kids.
We're simple people and we like a simple life. The birthday is not the very important thing in life. The most important thing is for people to be satisfied with their life and to lead a happy life.
Children from other countries living in Korea also become kings like Korean children. Shall I read that again? Children from other countries living in Korea also become kings like Korean children.